anything that is potentially dangerous makes you feel afraid. Any glass that was broken and you didn't replace it is a problem. Coffee tables with sharp edges where every single family member has hit their shins. That's bad feng shui.
Welcome to the Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. I have my best friend Moni back with me, and it's been 2 years since we've talked, and I am so excited to go through this another topic, but we'll even reference her prior episode in the show notes. So Moni's going to talk to us about Feng Shui. And the cool thing, I always talk about, inside out self-care. This is how we can go from the outside in. So what can we do in our environment that helps us live our best lives? So Moni's going to help us with that. But before we get started, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, Moni, help me heal from the outside in. We'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on this show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LaraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. All right, Moni, I'm really excited for this because this is so awesome. Because why not have it go both? It's like the burning of the candle from both ends. Well, this is healing from both directions. Well, how great would that feel? So help us live our best life by starting to heal from the outside in.
Hey, Lara Jane, thank you so much for having me over. I know we had such a great time last time, and I'm expecting this to be also an amazing conversation. So Feng Shui is the ancient East Asian art of placement that teaches you what to put where and in what color, shapes, and materials so that you can be happy, healthy, and successful, right? In other words, so that you can be more productive, get along with others better, and also be more relaxed. So a lot of people don't know this, but Feng Shui is one of the branches of ancient East Asian healing, along with acupuncture, qigong, massage, and also herbalism, right? And it is one of the oldest healing modalities in the planet. And it is the only healing modality that I know of that works from the outside in instead of working from the inside out. Because you know that all true healers, they emphasize that you change things inside of you and then they manifest on the outside, right? And so, for example, for you to have beautiful skin, you have to have a good internal health. That's a classic example of this, right? But the idea with Feng Shui is that your spaces where you live and where you work, but especially the spaces where you live, they shape your life. You make decisions about your life based on what the space is telling you. There's an ancient Chinese saying that goes like this: all the things in your home are talking to you. Make sure they have nice things to say, right? And so you want to make sure that your home is telling you nice things and that your home is telling the stories that you need to hear and that your home is helping you feel safe, that your home helps you get your batteries recharged, that your home nourishes you, and so that you can go through life feeling confident and secure and knowing what to do. Because one of the basic concepts or tenets of Feng Shui is that you come to life with things that you have to do, things that you have to accomplish. And some of those things are specifically for you, right? Example, the things that you want to learn, the things that you want to experience, the things that you want to do, and that are independent of whether you are married or not, whether you have children or not. But some of the other things that you are here to do, they do involve others. For example, if you were to mend the spouse of somebody, if you are somebody's mother, if you are a daughter taking care of parents, there are roles that you play for yourself and there are roles that you play for others. And so these things that you came to do, they are your purpose and your mission. And so when your actions are in alignment with what you are here to do, things are easier and you are happier. When you are out of alignment with the things that you came to do, then things get more difficult and you feel dissatisfaction. So there's this idea in Feng Shui that you're going to be happy and healthy when you are doing what you're supposed to do.
Wow. Like, okay, so how do I even know what I'm supposed to do?
Right. And so I have some questions that I ask my students and clients to help figure that out, right? So one of those is the positive things that people have always said about you, like from when you were a little girl. And through all the stages of life, and people are still saying that you are good at something. They might say that you are very creative, or that you are resourceful, or that you are good at working with others, or that you're good with children, right? That's one. Another question is, did you do when you were a child something that was different or quirky or just unique? And that's another way to get at it, right? And another question that I ask is, what are those things that you didn't necessarily want to do, but you always are put in that position? Like life always takes you back to that, right? Like I have a friend that she doesn't want to be a leader, right? She always, if she's in a group, if she's in a team working, she always wants to kind of be in the sidelines, but she's always chosen to be the leader. People are always voting her into leadership positions, right? And she doesn't want that, but she's always, people see her as a leader, right? And so you answer those questions, right? What are the good things that people have always said about you? What were quirky things that you did when you were a child? And what are the things that even when you don't seek to do them, you always find yourself in those positions? Can you think of anything for yourself?
And that isn't something that was positive, but I was stubborn.
Yeah.
My mother and I butt heads a lot because I did it my way. I was not an easy kid. And I don't know how that can, I mean, it has helped me not fall into a lot of traps because I wasn't going there,
Yeah.
but it's not always been the best thing.
So you can look at it from like a kind of a negative way, like I was stubborn, right? But you can also look at it like you always knew what you wanted, that you always
Yes.
had clarity on what you wanted to do, who you wanted to be. And that's a very positive thing, right? And then as a professional, you may be that person that can guide other people to do those things that you did naturally, right?
Mhm.
And so, for example, people always said of me when I was younger, when I was a child even, that I was really good at explaining things, that I always had this ability to take something that was complicated and simplify it. People have always said that about me, that I understand things easily and that I can explain them to others. But also when I was a child, I did things like, for example, I had a dollhouse and I never wanted to play little family stories with the dolls. The dolls were thrown in a drawer and I was constantly rearranging the furniture in the dollhouse, right? And sometimes I would be like, oh, what would happen if you change the location of the living room with the parents' bedroom? How would that work, right? And so that is strange. That is frankly strange. How many little girls do you know that would be rearranging the furniture in the dollhouse instead of playing little family stories with the dolls? And so you can't know in your life, you can't know what is your path completely. You don't know where life is taking you. Many times you are presented with situations that nudge you in certain directions. And when you look back, you can see there was everything that you did, every step that you took made sense. But at the moment, you couldn't see that. So what you can do, and what Feng Shui helps you do, is to figure out if you are on the right path and what are your next steps, right? And so, for example, my older son, right? He just graduated college with a major in neuroscience and a minor in philosophy. And so, at some point, he knew that he wanted to study pre med. And we all assumed, well, if he wants to study pre med, maybe he wants to study medicine, right?
Mhm.
But pre med was his path to study neuroscience. And he wants to go into research and study the effects of different things on people's minds, right? And so at the moment, he knew that studying pre med, when he was in his first few years of college, that that was the right thing to do. And so sometimes we get a calling to do something. We know we have to take that job. We know we have to take that class. We know that we have to make that trip, but we don't necessarily know where that's going to take us. But also in your home, there are paths. When you come home, right, like you park your car or you get off the bus, however you get home, and then you maybe walk up the driveway, or maybe you go into the garage and then you open a certain door and then you see something when you come home. And that thing that you see marks how you see your home and how you see your life. So some people come in through their front door, other
I have
people come in through their kitchen door, right?
we come in and we see a door. So I have an entryway and then there's
Uh-huh.
a small hallway and another door, and the laundry room's in between there. What's that telling me? Do I need to
Exactly,
put a
right? So
picture or something on it?
when you see a door or when you see a wall, that's a dead end, right? And so are you coming in from the front door or from like the
The
door from the
garage.
garage? From the garage, right? And so that's true for a lot of people. Like a lot of people have beautiful entries, but they don't use those entries, right? So they come in through the garage and you open the door from the garage into your home and you might see the wall of a hallway. You may see another door. Maybe there's a bathroom there and the first thing you see is the toilet. Maybe you come into the kitchen and the first thing you see is the refrigerator, right? And so the first thing you see is the toilet. You start thinking, my life is going down the toilet. The first thing you see is the kitchen. You immediately think about snacks, especially if what you see is the refrigerator, right? I should have a snack. If the first thing you see is a bedroom or a bed, you're like, I should take a nap. What you see when you first come home really marks how you perceive your home and how you perceive your life. So some people come into their home and they open the door and there's a staircase going down. And so you feel like your life is going downhill. If you open the door and there's a staircase going up, you feel like everything's so much work, right? If you come into a home with a split foyer, immediately you have to make a decision. Should I go up or should I go down? So that is a home where you become indecisive because you're constantly having to make decisions. It is so important to control what you foresee when you come in, right? That's the beginning of your path. And then after you come into your home, you're going to go maybe down a hallway, right? And that distributes circulation into the other rooms. But to answer your question, right, it's not good to see a door.
I figured that. I need to figure out what
Yeah.
to put on
What
it.
is behind that door?
A hallway to the stairs that go down.
Yeah. So even if you left the door open, that'd be worse. And so what you need to do is you need to get yourself a poster of a beautiful valley or a beautiful garden, something that has some perspective in it. So as you come in, you can feel like there's somewhere to go. This is not the end of the road, right? It could also be an image of a path or a road. And that would change so much the way you perceive your life. Because you definitely don't want to have that message of, this is the end of the road.
Yeah. What if I
Right?
put a vision board on it?
You could put a vision board on it, but it is better to put an image of nature.
Okay.
Because if you put a vision board on it, you're going to start feeling like your whole life is about achievement.
Mm.
And that's one issue that can happen with vision boards, right? It's awesome to have a vision board because it's no good to go through life without goals. But you cannot make that vision become your whole life to the point that you don't enjoy the present.
Good point.
Yeah. And
So
also,
just a peaceful, beautiful nature scene that just
yeah, preferably
okay.
with no water.
No water.
Just, like a beautiful valley. If you search for like Tuscan Valley, you'll find really beautiful images in that sense.
Does it matter the colors? I mean, would it red
Well, it
rocks or
depends, it
green?
depends on what you're looking for. Um, a nature image, of course, it's going to have a lot of green. It's probably going to have a lot of blue because you don't want a rainy day. You want a sunny day, but you do want to have some clouds. But then it depends on your personality. It depends on what you're looking for, right? Um, in Feng Shui, we use the 5 elements personality types. So one of the first things that I do when I start working with a client or a student is they take a quiz so I can find out what's their personality type. Would you like to hear about the personality types?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, right, comes the water person. And the water person is somebody who is always asking the question, what's in it for me? Right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing. This is just a person that when they were children, they decided, I have to take care of myself. Right? And so the water person is interested in money, they're interested in finances. And for the water person, if your personality was water, having an image of a path would be the best for you. Like a winding path through a forest or through a garden, that would be the best for you. So that's the water person. Then comes the wood, and the wood element is like a forest, like not like a plank of wood, but like a living tree. So the wood person is the person who believes that work is life, life is work. They is the kind of person who has a very hard time going on vacation unless they have a project they can work on while on vacation. So this is a person that believes productivity is the most important thing, right? And so for this person, again, a path, but through the woods. So for the water person, you could have a path that a person walks on that is maybe dirt, gravel, but it would be even better if it's a winding road that has asphalt on it for the water person, because the water person likes to go fast. But for the
Okay.
wood person, a path through the forest would be the best. So the wood person is usually a morning person, and they love to work. Then comes the fire personality. So the fire person is a person that believes party first, work next. Fun first, then work, right? So the party person, they love a joke and they're always looking for what is the next fun thing to do. So for the fire person, you would probably want an open field with some little mountains in the horizon line. Not huge mountains, little mountains. And the image for the fire person should be like sunshine at midday. So an image with a lot of sun. Then comes the earth person. So the earth person is the person that nurtures others. It's the person that other people feel is their best friend. Like if you ever met a person that 8 different people claim that's their best friend, that's an earth person because they like to connect with people and they like to create intimate connections and they're always supporting others and also expecting that others will support them. So for the earth person, you would want an image of agriculture. Those images, like you can see a valley and you can see like the checkered design of the different plots of land where they're farming, or where you saw like it could be like a vineyard. It could in Italy, for example, or it could be or California, or it could be an image where you see the rows of things that have been planted, right? And then comes the metal person. And the metal person is somebody who is big on morals. They always want to know, first and foremost, if what they're doing is right and it has meaning, right? And if it is approved by a higher power. So for that kind of people, you would want an image that most of the image is sky, like you're looking at the heavens, right? And so then you also have to consider if you are married, what personality is your husband. And then one of the things that I always insist on is most of my clients are women and my students. And I always insist you have to ask for the opinion of your husband, because what happens most of the time is that women make the decisions and the husband just live with them. And when you start asking questions of your spouse, when you start asking them, hey, what do you think of placing a poster of a valley over here? And why would you prefer? And that makes such a difference. And then the spouse starts to feel that they're listened to and that they're important, and relationships become better and closer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how do you mix the two in an image?
Well, it depends, right? Like, what personality would you say you are? Like, of the 5 personalities I mentioned,
I
which one
would
resonates with
say
you?
we are either water or wood and
Uh-huh.
earth.
Let's say, for example, if you are earth and you are wood, right? You would want an image like with an open valley, and you could have some farming in the foreground and having lots of trees going up hills or mountains in the background.
Okay.
Yeah. So it can get very specific, right? But just to keep it simple, find an image that gives you a sense of space, that gives you a sense of perspective, that makes you feel like it's not the end of the road. We can go places, we can go somewhere. And an image that the two of you love.
Okay.
So
I
that's just the entrance, right? Imagine the influence that Feng Shui has on you when the first thing that you see when you come home can have so much of an influence in you.
Yeah, no kidding. Because now I
Yeah.
got the whole rest of the house to do.
Right. And so every room in the home has a message, and every room in the home represents something, right? So the foyer represents career. The primary bedroom represents intimate relationships. The dining room represents health. The kitchen is the room that goes with wealth. The home office is the room that goes with wisdom and self knowledge. The family room goes with reputation and social life. So each of the rooms has a function, and it influences how you live. So, for example, if a person has a family room or a great room, and the most prominent pieces in the room are a huge TV and a large sofa, as soon as people come into that room, they start thinking about watching movies or playing video games. And what does that do to a person? It curtails social life. Because when you start thinking about, okay, let's do something fun, you're like, okay, let's watch a movie, right? And so you should never rearrange your family room as if it was a movie theater.
Oh, no. I got to change my family room too.
Change your family room too. So you want to arrange your furniture to promote conversation. And so that watching TV or playing video games becomes a secondary function, not the main function, right? Now, what about the bedroom, right? I just shared a video today on TikTok and Instagram and all that about how Feng Shui recommends that you not have a TV in the bedroom. But then one of the most pleasant things you can do as a couple, is you put your head on your spouse's shoulder and watch a movie together in bed. But if you have a large TV in the bedroom, the TV says, turn me on, right? And you are thinking about turning on the TV and not turning each other on, right? And so when you have a TV in the bedroom, the larger the TV, the more passion goes down. But if you have a TV and you can cover it up, if you can put it behind a cabinet or put a beautiful piece of fabric on it when you are not using it, then you don't have that problem. But every single room in the home has a function, and it says something about your life. The beauty of Feng Shui is that you engage in the process of slow decorating your home, which is different. Like if you decide to redo your home and you hire an architect or you hire an interior designer, right? They put you on a schedule and they have a budget. And then you have to make all these decisions so quickly, right? Like, okay, so what floor is in the example of remodeling the kitchen? Say, what kind of a floor are you going to have? What color? What kind of counters? What kind of cabinets? And those decisions are made really, really fast. And it's very hard for a person who is not a designer to make good decisions when they have to make them so fast. And so in Feng Shui, what we do is we engage in slow decorating, where you take your sweet time to rearrange a room or to redecorate a space in your home. So, for example, sometimes it's very hard for you to choose the material for your kitchen counters until you see the floors. And then it's very hard for you to choose the cabinets until you have decided on the countertop. And this process of slow decorating is so much more satisfying than a remodel that you would do with an interior designer or an architect that's just pushing you to the to the finish line, right? Because they want to be done and move on to the next project. And it's um, it's sad when somebody pushes you to make a decision too quickly, and then that's a mistake. Sometimes, you don't know how things change. And one thing that you do in one room changes what you do in another room. So, for example, we have in our dining room, we have the chandelier that we all love, right? Because we have two kids. They're adults now, but when we bought the chandelier, they were teenagers. And so we all went to the store, we all chose the chandelier, and we put it up, and we're very happy with it. And then I decided my home is open concept, like the dining room and the living room are integrated. And then the dining room is also integrated with the kitchen. And so I decided to get a crystal chandelier. It's like a chandelier that has no lights, it's all crystals. And I decided to get that because I saw it in a store and I just fell in love with it. So I got it and I put it in my living room. And I loved it. But then the chandelier was all wrong. You know, they just didn't look good together. So the thing that we were so happy with before now was wrong. So what I did is instead of the opaque lampshades that we had in the chandelier, I got some transparent green ones, kind of mid-century modern style. And those look gorgeous with the crystal chandelier that I have in my living room, right? So sometimes in your home, you change one thing and that makes you change other things. And then it's like a domino effect. Has that ever happened to you?
Absolutely. It's like
Yeah.
one time we were doing a remodel and we ended up putting tape up and go, we are not passing this line because we just kept going a little farther and a little farther. It's like, nope, we're stopping here.
Sometimes, because it's like a domino effect and it's hard to stop. Sometimes it feels like an avalanche. Like I remember one time with my husband's bathroom, he wanted to take out take out the tub and replace it with a walk-in shower. And so the contractor came over and he said, "So are you remodeling the whole bathroom?" And we said, "No, we just want to swap the tub with a walk-in shower." And he's like, "Sure." And then, he says, "The best time to change the floor is before you put in the new shower." So we're like, "Okay, let's change the floors." And then he says, "You could take some of this tile and put it around the shower." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that would look beautiful. Let's do that." Right. And so then the color of the walls didn't look right with the new tile. So we changed that. Then the cabinets, they looked old and battered. So we're like, let's redo the cabinets. Then the fixtures on the sink didn't look right. Then the light fixture. So we ended up literally changing every single thing in the bathroom when we had just decided we're just going to do one thing, right? And so sometimes I have a friend that says the home has a soul of its own, and sometimes the home talks to you. And sometimes she likes to say the home wants what it wants.
Mhm.
And you are thinking, I'm just going to do this little thing. But no, the home wants to be renewed. The home wants a whole new bathroom, not just the shower and the tub changed.
When we're changing this, I'm assuming that we feel the energy to want to change the next thing so that my eyes flow comfortably as I'm looking around in the room and not this new, old. You know?
Yes.
It's like new, old. So, what does that do for us when we have that simple flow when you look at it and it feels complete?
I guess, my my first question would be, does it ever feel complete? And I think the answer to that is no, because just as our lives are constantly changing, our homes are also constantly changing. but you do have pauses, right? Like if you decide to remodel the kitchen, you have finished remodeling the kitchen. There's a moment when you feel like this is just gorgeous, this is beautiful. Now, because the kitchen represents wealth in Feng Shui, you can expect that after you remodel the kitchen, you are probably going to make better decisions having to do with wealth because you're going to feel more worthy, right? If you have been cooking on a batter, the countertop that was falling apart, and now you have, say, a beautiful marble of course countertop, you are going to get such different feedback about your life that that's going to start improving, right? So you want to bring each area of your home, each room of the home to a point where it's doing two things. One of those things is it allows you to fulfill the functions of the room. And the other thing is that your soul lights up with the beauty that you see. We are programmed to seek beauty. Our souls are never satisfied with a lack of beauty. So, for example, the master bedroom, the primary bedroom, right, has functions. And the functions of the primary bedroom are to rest, make love, and read, right? And so you need to make sure that in your primary bedroom that you can sleep well, and that means having a good mattress and pillows and having the right kinds of curtains and the right kind of lighting and the right kind of colors that make you feel peaceful. You also need to feel passionate. Otherwise, you're not going to want to get intimate with your partner. So maybe you need some colors that would increase the passion. Maybe you need some scents that would increase passion. And then you need to be able to read. In order to be able to read, you need to have a place where you can sit and read, right? And you need to have good lighting for reading. And then, if you open the door to your bedroom, you should see a bed cover that you love, pillow shams that you love, lamps that make your heart sing. When you are getting like these jolts of joy every time you turn around in your home, you're going to be happy. And that's guaranteed.
Yeah, that's interesting because there's parts in our home that I go, I love this room, and you just kind of sit and enjoy it. And there's others that you go, it's just function. It's like,
Yeah.
and the kitchen is one that's never been, even at our last house, probably the weakest area of the home.
Uh-huh.
And there's just an island that kind of is in the way, kind of disrupts the flow of getting from the sink to the rest of the working spot. And it's like,
Yeah.
so how do I just pick up the island and move it? Yeah, right.
Well, I think, like since you're bringing up islands, I think there's this obsession with islands. Today, a couple of years ago, I was working with a client who was remodeling an old house, and the kitchen was just not big enough for an island. In order, because you have to have so many feet in between the cabinets and the island, and you have to be able to have so much room around the island. And so I had suggested a peninsula instead of an island, right? But the peninsula is attached to the countertops on one end. And the client was like, no, no, because that's something that you don't use anymore. That's so 80s. We should, and she wanted an island. So in order to get an island, she had to take out the cabinets from one side completely to be able to walk around. And that just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to reduce the storage that you have in the kitchen just so you can have an island. Another thing that I have a beef with, and this is a very big beef, is that the kitchen is not a good place to eat. I mean, the kitchen island is not a good place for it to be the main space where you eat. The kitchen island should be mainly for food preparation, and you should sit at a table to have your meals with your family. So that could be in the dining room. It could be the breakfast area within the kitchen, but just not on a counter, right? When you start eating all your meals on a counter, you just lose the sense of family.
Saw your Instagram post about the individual chairs in the kitchen.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I do have one bench and it's on the short end of our table. And
Yeah.
when the family grew, two people have to sit on it. And like, how am I going to fix that? But everybody else has their individual chairs.
Yeah. And so if you have a bench and that only gets used when you have big parties, that's different, right? But each family member that lives with you needs to have their individual chair.
Well, we got that covered. There's way more
Yes.
than the two of them.
Yeah. There's so many things that become fashionable, like a lot of people think it's so cool to eat at the kitchen counter sitting on high stools. And those are so bad for your joints.
They
Like
hurt
the
my
high
back.
stools, they're terrible for your low back. They're terrible for your hips, for your knees, even your ankles. And when you're younger, you might not notice, right? If you get married and you're in your late 20s and you get that kind of setup, it might not bother you for years, but it's absolutely not ergonomic. When you sit to eat, you should have 90 degrees, between your torso and your thighs, and then 90 degrees between your thighs and your shins. And when you eat like that, when you sit like that, you're going to be comfortable. Nothing's going to hurt. But sitting on high stools on a kitchen counter, that's not a way to build family relationships.
So if I want a strong family relationship, I have individual chairs
Yes.
and sit around the table.
Yes. Sit around the
Okay.
table.
That shouldn't be too hard.
It shouldn't be too hard, right? And the other thing is, if you want to increase the flow and you have a kitchen island, and I don't imagine you're too eager to remodel your kitchen, right?
No, I just want to shave off a piece of the island.
And get a chainsaw. And so one thing that you could do is maybe you could get a contractor to do that. Because I'll tell you that's what we did. We got a contractor. So we don't have an island, right? We have a peninsula. And the peninsula kind of had like an overhang.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just making it hard to go around it. And I just called the contractor. And since it's a butcher block, I called the contractor and I asked him, can you take this piece off? And he said, sure. And he did. It was fine. But you can also, you don't have to remodel. You don't have to get a chainsaw to fix your problems. But you can think of, okay, if my kitchen is not flowing right now, maybe there are some things that I can do to improve the flow. So sometimes it might be moving the coffee machine to another counter. It might be getting your cutting boards in a different place. So sometimes you can increase the flow by just moving small things around in the kitchen.
So is it pretty much more just how it flows for me, or are there rules I need to follow also?
How it flows for you?
Yeah.
Oh, there are plenty of rules to follow, especially in the kitchen, because the kitchen is a factory. The kitchen is a factory of producing food. So if you are not able to produce food efficiently in your kitchen, that's an issue. Now, if you don't cook, if you just get takeout, or if you most of the time eat at restaurants, maybe it doesn't matter so much, right? But people tend to be healthier when they cook at home because, like you could go eat a lasagna at your favorite Italian restaurant, or you can make a lasagna at home. And when you make the lasagna at home, you're going to use less fat. Your pasta sauce is going to have less sugar, and you're going to also use less salt because restaurants exaggerate on the flavors, right? And so just by cooking the same things that you eat in the restaurant, by cooking them at home, you're going to be healthier. And so your kitchen needs to flow. Now there's this triangle, right? There's this triangle you need to have between the refrigerator, the sink, and the stove. So if you can draw a triangle between the refrigerator, the sink, and the stove, your kitchen is likely going to be functional. Now, here's an interesting thing, right? I studied architecture in Latin America. And I moved to the United States in my late 20s. The way I was taught, the triangle was not between the refrigerator, the sink, and the stove. It was between the prep surface, the sink, and the stove. Right? Because sometimes, and I even remember some homes when I was growing up in Ecuador, some homes did not have the refrigerator in the kitchen. The refrigerator was actually in a pantry, right? But in the United States, it's pretty much established that you need to have this triangle between the refrigerator, the sink, and the stove. So ideally, when you take out something from the refrigerator, you should have some place where you can set things down easily. And then you shouldn't take more than 1 or 2 steps to get to the sink so you can wash things. Then, when you take things out of the sink, there should be a prep surface, right? And then that should be connected to the stove. So you do want to have this flow. But it also depends, like, do you cook?
Yes.
Yeah. And so it also depends on the style, your personal style of cooking, right? So where you want things, for example, where do you want to have your spices? Where do you want to have your spatulas? Where do you want to have your wooden spoons? That all depends on your style of cooking, right? And because you cook, there's certain things you're going to want to have handy around the stove. When you cook at home, the center of your kitchen is the stove. Now, for some people, today we find less and less people actually cook. They just put meals together or thaw out things. For some people, the microwave has become the center of their kitchen. But if you actually cook, the stove is the center of your kitchen. So you need to make sure that things are handy, right? So imagine, for example, and I'm going to say something that's kind of absurd, right?
Okay.
When you're cooking and you're preparing a meal, and you're going to add oil, you're going to add salt, you're going to add spices, right? And imagine if the salt was on the other end of the kitchen. So you're cooking something, you're cooking your spaghetti sauce, and then you want to add salt, and you have to walk to all the farthest end of your kitchen to pick up the salt and then bring it and put it in the pot and then go put back the salt container at the other end. So that's an exaggeration, and I don't think anybody does that. But for things that are not that obvious, we do things that are not the best for us. They're not ideal. And so there are certain things that need to be close to the kitchen to the stove for you when you're cooking. And there's other things that need to be close to the sink, right? When you're
Mhm.
washing your foods. And there's other things that need to be close to your cutting board. So, for example, we have a butcher block, right? That's where I do my food prep. And I cook a lot. I cook every day. And so I need to have my cutting board close to the butcher block because there are certain things I don't want to do directly on the butcher block. So, for example, if I'm cutting meat, I'm going to use a separate cutting board, right? And so my knives need to be handy. Certain things need to be handy. My vegetables need to be handy. So you need to go with the flow of how you live or how you cook. But there's certain minimum requirements for a kitchen to be functional, right? So, for example, when you're emptying the dishwasher, there should be an easy way to get your plates put away. Again, you don't want to take your plates out of the dishwasher and have to walk to the other side of the kitchen to put the plates away. So there's certain things that they're just minimum requirements for a functional kitchen, and there are other things that are your personal preference.
And I'm thinking through this, and I use like the crock pot, the pressure cooker, and the oven more than I ever use the stovetop.
Yeah.
It's but they're all like close enough that it's not a big deal.
So say that again. You use the pressure cooker.
The slow cooker, the pressure cooker, and the oven.
Okay. So the slow cooker, the pressure cooker, and the oven. And so in your case, the center of your kitchen would not be the stove, right? It probably would be the counter where you have these other devices.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's on the same island as the sink. So there's no triangle there.
Yeah. And so you might think, there's so many things today, like we have access to so many things. So, for example, I was seeing a video today about this cutting board that fits on top of your stove, and it fits perfectly on top of a standard stove. And it even has a lip, and it has a lip on the front so it doesn't slide. And it has some hooks on the corners so you can secure it. And it also fits perfectly over a standard 2-hole sink so that you can use the space of your sink also as a prep surface, which would be essential in tiny apartments or suites, right? There's so many things now that can improve the functionality of your kitchen.
So Feng Shui wise, it just needs to feel functional. There's no crazy rule that if you don't have this triangle and everything's within X amount of feet, you're going to be unhealthy.
Well, that's a very good question. So there are some things. So for example, in the kitchen, you want a feeling of a forest. So it's one thing that you shouldn't have too much of in the kitchen that just about every single kitchen has, every single modern kitchen, is you don't want the silver appliances. And you don't want to have too much white. For the last 5 years, there has been this craze that everybody wanted to have a white kitchen, right? And so that is not recommended in feng shui. The white kitchen is not good feng shui.
I always wanted a white kitchen. I thought
It,
that would be the coolest. Mine happens to be black, so it's just the opposite.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people want the white kitchen until they realize it's a kitchen that never looks clean because
Oh,
every little
I
thing
don't want
shows,
one if that's the case.
right? Plenty of friends that have that, and they reach a point where they don't want to touch their kitchen. When I first graduated as an architect, I worked on a project, and that's before I discovered feng shui, right? And I worked on a project with this lady to remodel her kitchen. And because her kitchen was kind of dark, it was kind of like those, like a hallway kitchen that had a window only at one end and no natural light at the other end. Because it was so dark, I recommended that she get an all white kitchen.
A what?
For an all white
Oh,
kitchen.
all white. Okay.
Yeah, so we did like the floors were black and white, like checkered, but the cabinets were very nice wood, but painted white, and the countertops were white, and it looked gorgeous. It's been 30 years, and every time this person sees me, she complains about her kitchen. Can you believe that? And I'm like, you could have had that kitchen painted, right? But every time she sees me, like every once in a while, like I'll travel or she'll travel and we'll get together. And every time she feels like she has to mention it, like she has to say, I can't believe you talked me into having a white kitchen. I I just can't stand that everything shows. It's so hard to keep clean. And in my mind, I haven't told her that, but in my mind, I'm thinking you could have painted the cabinets, right? You could have changed the countertops. I mean, it's been 30 years, but the way I did it, we use such high quality materials that the kitchen still looks like new, but it's just really hard to clean, to keep clean.
I have a refrigerator that's supposed to be fingerprint proof. I am
Yeah,
always washing the fingerprints off it. Just touching it is ah, like,
yeah,
and you look at it and go, how is that happening? And then I realize I'm half the culprit. Like when
mhm,
you open it, it has those little on the edge of the door hooks. And so
mhm,
your palm hits the front of the door.
yeah,
There's not like handles.
exactly. Yeah,
It's
and
always
so
dirty.
one thing I did that helps a lot with that is I got these beautiful magnets. Like you can look them up as refrigerator magnets or dishwasher magnets. Like you can get a dishwasher magnet and then trim it to size if you have the French door refrigerators. So I got a magnet of a beautiful forest in the mountains, and I have that on my refrigerator so I don't have to deal with the fingerprints.
I'll look at that.
Yeah,
So,
so many things.
as we go and we think, okay, I want to make my house heal me, or at least
Mhm.
do things. What is I mean, I'm going to look at the door. So, coming in the house is one thing. We have a TV in our bedroom, but it's never, I think we've had it on twice when someone was sick or had to stay in bed. But that's the only reason for it is to
Yeah.
entertain the unhealthy person. But we don't have it covered up. So maybe I should cover it up.
You can
Uh,
get a beautiful piece of fabric, something that gives you that jolt of happiness that we had mentioned before and cover it up, right? But also things, because your home can heal you. And if you grew up in a family that was not completely functional, well, I mean, no family is 100% functional, right? I used to ask people, was your family of origin functional? And everybody said no. And so now I ask them, from in a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being you were in the Jerry Springer show, and 10 being you are like a TV family, right? Where was your family? The sudden people tell me, was it 2 or it was a 7, whatever, right? Because every family is going to have some degree of dysfunctionality. But say, for example, that you grew up in a family where meal times were nightmares. So, for example, I think this is probably not happening anymore very much. But when I was a child, it was common to force children to eat. Like they would sit kids at the table and it's like, you have to eat whatever we serve you. And sometimes parents wouldn't let the kids get up from the table until they ate everything, regardless of whether the food was good or not, right? And sometimes people would get hit because they didn't want to eat. And sometimes, unfortunately, there are parents that would use meal times to scold the kids, right? To to remember all the things. And so if you grew up in a family where meal times were not pleasant, you can change your life and you can change your family tree by by doing it differently with your kids. You know, by by having a beautiful setup and comfortable chairs, right? A comfortable table, comfortable chairs, and actually serving meals so that every person can serve themselves, like placing the meals in the center of the table so every person can serve themselves what they want to eat. And you can change that by not berating the kids because they don't want to eat something, right? And so you can change your family tree by doing that. You can change the destiny of your family by doing things different than what your parents did, right? And so one thing, when a client complains to me and says the children don't want to eat, and that's very frustrating. So my first question is the food good? Right? So are you
Of
a
course it's
good
good. I cooked it.
are you a good cook, right? So that's the first thing. If your meals are not tasty, how can you expect that children are going to want to eat them? But also, what kinds of conversations are you having at the table? Because it is at the dining table that children will open up and have good conversations with the parents. It's not in the living room. It's not while you're driving them somewhere in the car. It is at the dining table. That's where it happened.
My favorite question was, what did you enjoy about today? It's like, I forget, I don't care what you learned. I don't care. What did you enjoy about today?
That's really good. And I had heard of another really good question to ask your kids was, what did you fail at today? What did you attempt that didn't go well? And instead of berating the kids, like, oh, you should have done this and you didn't do well, um, helping them reframe what happened and
Great
praising
idea.
them for trying, right? And helping them make a plan for how they can do things differently.
That's a great idea because, if they're not afraid to tell you the bad things, if you support them and help them grow better, not like yell at them and scream, what a beautiful experience that would be as a child.
Yes.
So like,
And
"Oh, mom,
so,
I really
yeah,
tried to do this, but I didn't quite get it done." And, "Oh,
exactly.
you tried. That's the most coolest part,"
Yeah. And what could you do the next time? Is it worth to try and do it again? Right. And so it's when you're having meals with your children, with your family, the food is half of it. The other half is conversation.
Yeah, and so, we started talking about how this is healing us from the outside in, and
Yeah.
we kinda got a little bit of that. Is there any more about making sure we're as healthy as we can? I mean, we're helping our kids by having good conversations, we're having a flow in our kitchen, so it's fun to cook instead of a struggle.
Yeah.
We're adding passion to our bedroom by making the bed look inviting and no TV to disrupt that and somewhere to read. We have adjustable beds and we just
Mhm.
read in bed.
Yeah.
But and a separate chair might feel good.
Mhm.
Um, we talked
I mean,
just a
sitting in
tiny
bed
bit
is
about our
perfectly fine.
offices.
Yeah.
So what to heal in our offices, what do we need to do?
Well, control clutter is one of those things, right? Make sure that you are not having too much clutter. Make sure you can still walk freely through every room in your home, including your home office, so that you have a sense of peace, so that you can be more productive. Some people they say, geniuses like Einstein. He had his office was super cluttered, and they try to say that like if you're unorganized, that's a sign that you're very smart. But it's actually only people who are geniuses can have a cluttered space and still be productive.
Oh, good. I was really worried. I must be a genius. No.
But there are other things in your home. You're talking about this healing, right? When you heal your home, you heal yourself. If something breaks in your home and you don't repair it, what kind of a message is that giving you? Like, if you go visit somebody and they tell you, don't sit in that chair because if you sit on that chair, you're going to fall. And the next year, when you visit them, they give you the same warning. Don't sit on that chair because if you sit on that chair, you're going to fall. That is not a place that's going to make you happy, right? You're not going to heal uh, the multiple things that we have to heal in life if you're afraid of your own chair. Another thing is knives, right? Since we're talking about the kitchen, those blocks of knives where you have the knives right there that are in every single scary movie, right? That's not good feng shui. Your knife should be put away in a drawer.
Yeah, I have
And
a knife thing in a drawer there that they sit in so you can still
yes, and
keep
those
them
are
safe.
perfect, right? Those are
Um,
perfect.
but
Or,
yeah, they're not on the counter.
some people have these magnets behind the stove and they have the knives right there. That's not good feng shui. So you have to make sure that everything in your home makes you feel comfortable and safe. Anything in your home that is not safe for a child makes you feel stressed,
Even if
even
there's no children around?
even if there's no children.
Interesting.
And so you can make sure your home has good feng shui just by walking around and saying, okay, what would be dangerous for a child?
Yeah, what about a puppy? I've got cords I've had to hide or tape down to the floor because the puppies were eating them.
But you should do that anyway. Cords should be hidden anyway.
Well, they
In
mostly
feng
were, but
shui, uh, cords, cables are associated with nerves and thoughts. So if you are struggling like with a lot of random thoughts and you can't clear your mind, organizing your cables is a great way to help with that. If you are having a hard time making decisions, organize your shoes. If you don't feel like you have a clear vision for where your business should go, clean your windows. Feng Shui can be very, very literal. If you feel that you're not getting enough opportunities in life, put oil in the hinges of your door so they don't squeak. There are so many parallels between what happens in the home and what happens in your life. It's unreal.
hmm, interesting. I like that. So, just trying to think of what's not working in my house. What do I need to heal?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not saying you have this, but sometimes it's exposed cables, right? And I've seen it in many homes, like somebody pulled out a chandelier from a room and they didn't put it back and the cables are still showing. Things like that, right? Anything that is potentially dangerous makes you feel afraid. Any glass that was broken and you didn't replace it is a problem. Coffee tables with sharp edges where every single family member has hit their shins. That's bad feng shui.
Interesting. So this has been fun. We're really, right there at that end of we've gone a whole hour. So
I
but
know.
this has been fun and I love learning. Do you have a book or something that
I
it
have written
simplifies
so
all this
many
stuff?
books on feng shui. My what I recommend for starters is my book called Room by Room: Feng Shui Secrets for a Happy Life. It's a book of stories and feng shui tips. I also have manuals on feng shui with a lot of photographs and how to do this and how to do that. And my most popular manual is called Feng Shui Your Own Home, and you can find that on Amazon. But I recommend that you start with this one because people, with this book of stories, Room by Room, Feng Shui Secrets for a Happy Life, they have done more than with the manuals because this one moves emotions, right?
Oh,
Feng
yeah.
Shui in your home is a deeply emotional thing. And then my latest book that I published recently is called The House of Many Gardens, Feng Shui Secrets for Home Landscaping. That is
Ooh.
the second book that I recommend you read.
And now I'm going to have to go figure out if my landscaping's right.
Yeah.
Anything
So,
for a
yeah,
healthy life.
yeah, it's so beautiful that you can do something in your home, and because you have changed something in the physical world, it's going to influence you and it's going to be cumulative. So, for example, with your situation that you open the door and you see a door, that's not positive. And that has been accumulating for you for all the years that you have been in this home. Every time you come home, there's a dead end right there. When you change it, when you get a beautiful image to put on your door that makes you feel like there's space and there's somewhere to go, that's also cumulative. The more you have that image on your door and the more you feel this jolt of happiness every time you come home instead of like, oh, a wall, right? That's cumulative. And that's going to help you be more productive. That's going to help you feel more relaxed. And that's going to help you have more vision for the future.
Okay. Well, I definitely got to go find those books on Amazon. So
Yeah.
thank you.
So my full name, right? Monica P. Castaneda. If you look for Monica P. Castaneda Feng Shui on Amazon, you'll see all my books.
Oh,
And I
okay.
have 14 books on there.
It's in the show notes, so they should be able to find it really
Yeah.
quick. Um, let's go ahead. You've told them how to get a hold of your book. Do you also do consulting?
I do consulting and I also teach Feng Shui for people who want to learn Feng Shui to apply to their homes, to practice as a hobby, or even to practice as a profession. So my website is 9steps2fengshui.com. 9steps2fengshui.com spelled out. You can also get there by typing spacearrangement.com. Spacearrangement.com.
Okay.
I also
That
have
sounds kind
a
of fun.
bunch of free resources there. Yeah.
Okay. So, what's one thing that we should suggest that our friend try this week to do that first thing? Is at the doorway? Where can we
So,
find these elements so that we can narrow down what we put on our door?
like what you put on your door. So, the most important thing is your door should be welcoming. Your main door to your home, but also the door from the garage or the door from the driveway should be welcoming. The door should open fully, right? You shouldn't have anything behind the door that impedes the opening. It shouldn't make noise. The hinges should be well oiled. So a door that opens easily, that opens fully to at least 90 degrees, and control the first thing that you see when you come home. Make sure that the first thing that you see when you come home is something that makes you feel happy, proud, and uplifted. And that is going to make a difference.
Okay. I can do that.
Yes.
I'm going to go shopping for a postery thing.
Yes.
Oh, Moni, this has been fun. I really, you make it seem so simple, like not overcomplicated. So I really appreciate that. Is,
Good.
if I can just do one little thing and it helps improve my health and my life, that'll be beautiful. So I really appreciate it. I'm sure our friend does too. So thank you for joining. Moni and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We're here for entertainment. People that want to help you live your best life. So thank you for joining and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.